Hi guys, Sabrina here. Welcome back to my second video. And today I'll be talking about why it is very important and crucial to your success to separate your own thoughts and views of the world from what your parents have tried to implement onto you. So growing up, we all use our parents as like a standard of measurement for what to do, for our morality, and to navigate the rules of the world. But as we get older, depending on how your parents are, your parents' views might limit you from going towards your real goals. And while there are always a lot of wisdoms and takeaways from their life experiences, and there are certain human behaviors that are always cyclical, your parents come from a very different time than you. So what that means is there are a lot of thoughts, there are a lot of life experiences, and there are a lot of things that they will tell you that comes from a very outdated view of the world, especially since they didn't grow up with internet. So think about it. When your parents are growing up and when they're becoming adults, they didn't have the opportunity to become an influencer. They didn't have the opportunity to become anything like a travel blogger. And there are so many online jobs that they just couldn't even imagine. And I say this with the best of intentions, but depending on the level of success and the expansiveness of the views that your parents have, sometimes the things they teach you can hold you back 100 years. So let's think about this from your parents' perspective. You are their little kid that they had to care for, that they had to guide for so long, and suddenly you want to be in a field that they never had any success in, or they never saw any success in, or they don't even understand. And suddenly you're like, oh, I'm going to achieve great heights in this industry. And your parents would be kind of mind blown because to them it's hard to see how someone who needed so much of their help suddenly overachieving them. Or they might stop you because their view of the world is very limited due to them having limited resources when they were younger, or they just never really try to look past their own bubble. So suddenly, when you're doing something so wild to them that is completely out of their own normal view of the world, they don't want to let you go. So, for example, let's say that you are a Gen Z kid who wants to move to LA to become a full-time influencer. And because your parents barely even understand what influencing is or what having an online job is like, they might not want to let you go. And that is something that will hold your career back by a lot. So you need to understand that when you're trying to pursue your own dreams, when you're trying to form your own perspective of the world, it is very important to approach the world with a clean slate outside of what your parents have told you. Okay, maybe not throw away everything under the sunlight of what they told you, but you really have to keep an open mind and be ready to form perspectives and accept new things that are very different from what you've been taught in the past. If not, then the height you could reach in life and the scope of success that you have will be very much limited by the bubble that your parents had growing up. Again, it is very important for you to venture out and form your own perspective and scope of the world. So this is something that is not just limited to children with parents that live the normal life. This very much applies to rich kids too, and I'll explain. So a little bit of a story time. Back in college, my dating pool are the rich international Chinese students that came from China. And my first ex in college, he was telling me how, oh, his dad always told him to watch out for fake friends, to watch out for users, blah, because his dad is a businessman, a very successful businessman. My ex was driving a Ferrari at the age of 20. But the thing is that he is definitely afraid to be surrounded by fake friends because of what his dad told him. His dad have seen a lot of backstabbing in the industry that he's in. He has seen a lot of betrayal. So that's why he is always telling my ex that, oh, you need to watch out for these type of people. You need to watch out for that type of people and to keep a certain surface level connection with your friends, to not go too deep with them, to not tell them everything. As a result, I noticed that a lot of the friends my ex kept around him are all very superficial friends. Like he kept those friends around him just because their family owns certain type of business, and it will be good to connect with them, to potentially do business with them. So he kind of surrounded himself by the exact same type of people that his dad was surrounded with. And as ironic as it is, my ex ended up becoming surrounded by the exact same people that his dad warned him about. And that perpetuated a cycle where my ex just didn't have any real friends, and he couldn't really open up to anyone, and he was very, very, very lonely while he was in college. And before you start feeling bad for him, he is actually a chronic cheater, and he cheated on me with another one of his ex, which was really weird. But what happened is, after he broke up with me, people around him started spilling all of his beans. He was surrounded by the fakest of the fakest of the fakest friends I've ever seen in my entire life. So yeah, I always saw his story as like a warning of what could happen if you follow exactly what your parents told you. The lesson for people like my ex would be truly learn to open up, to how to form genuine friendships that are outside of these superficial values that they had. I think we're all subconsciously kind of limited by views that our parents kind of implemented into us that we don't have to adhere to. And I really, really, really urge people to dig those things out and to rewire them for yourself. And another point I want to make, this is something that applies to a lot of Asian kids, which is a lot of Asian kids will try to just implement their parents' thoughts and views of the world as their own because they don't want to form their own views of the world. They don't want to become emotionally independent from their parents. Growing up, we were never really encouraged to be our own individual person. We were all told to, oh, just listen to your parents. Your parents are right. They want the best for you, blah, 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 blah. But the thing is that as we grow up, and we see the people that we're turning into, we'll realize that our parents are not always right. But by the time we got to an age where we realized that we're also not really used to finding out or rediscovering our true self, and to wipe our slate clean and completely form new views of the world based on our own experiences. And we're kind of afraid to venture out and try new things because a lot of the times we're told that, oh, if you try to invest in stock market, you'll lose all your money, like this person failed, that person failed, my friend failed, whatever. Or, oh, if you try to go into art, you'll be broke. Like, oh, my friend over there, like she was in art school back in China and now she's jobless here in America because none of those skills apply. Or, oh, if you go try that extreme sport, I know my friend's son who tried that sport and ended up in the hospital, blah, 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 blah. A lot of Asian parents will kind of use that scare tactic to stop us from venturing out of our comfort zone. And while those parents, they come from a place of care and worry for us, a lot of the times it really did stunt our growth by at least 10, 20 years. And as a result, a lot of Asian kids just never go outside of their bubble. And this applies to Asian kids that are in Asian countries and Asian kids of immigrant families. I don't know how things are like for other culture, but I'm pretty sure that there are cases like this that are extremely similar to what I just brought up. Another thing to keep in mind is that a lot of our parents were raised by grandparents that actually came from wartime. Like our grandparents probably grew up right after World War II or some kind of other war that was going on in their own country. So our parents were raised with scarcity and survival mindset by their parents. And sometimes that is a very valid way for our grandparents to raise our parents up because things were genuinely that bad back then. But then now that times are changed and our parents try to raise us with those same sets of values, and that just doesn't apply to the current world anymore. And that's why we need to be very, very, very careful of what kind of teachings we actually inherit from our parents, and what are the things that we need to go venture out and experience on our own in order to properly learn. So that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching, and please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.